for some additional investigation. That investigation did detect some additional solvents in the soil and groundwater. And so the city of Hartford wants to apply for a SAG grant of up to $150,000 to not only do additional testing, but also do a remedial action plan, and that will determine what are the next steps. So after they do all of the investigation that the DNR is looking for, then they'll will determine how to deal with any of that contamination and where it is and how deep it goes. So this request is for $24,000.
And then all that additional doesn't affect us, it just follows if they choose to continue?
Right, the $150,000 SAG grant will cover all of the investigation and then the remedial action plan. If it's determined that they're going to be doing remediation, there's a potential that we could utilize the county or the EPA revolving loan fund for that remediation. But that's something that'll be talked about after this initial step of finishing their investigation and doing a remedial action plan.
Okay. I noticed on the map, it says approximate locations of 2 gasoline USTs illustrated in 1929 and 1940 fire insurance maps. Mm-hmm. What's a UST?
That's an underground storage tank.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we think they're there, but we don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Typically, the underground storage tanks are identified also on a DNR website. They have the leaking underground storage tanks. So I don't know if they've actually been identified, but they have been identified on the Sanborn insurance map. So.
All right. So you're just looking for
a thumbs up consensus for the $24,000.
We have a thumbs up over here. We have 3 thumbs up. So.
Okay. Thank you.
And our last discussion item is the approval limits proposal.
Yes. So as it stands now, for the Next Generation Housing Fund and for the Brownfields Assessment Fund, any request, no matter what the amount is, would go through that initial committee and then come to this executive committee. So my proposal is that we would change that process, the approval process, to allow that any requests under $10,000 would just require the approval of that those committees, the Next Generation or the SRC, and then I would report that on the next agenda item of this executive committee, so you could at least see what has been approved, so you're aware of it. But only requests for $10,000 and over then would come to this committee for approval. Unless, thank you, unless during those committee meetings, the county board representative that serves on each of those committees determines that it may be an unusual request and they would like the executive committee to review that request, even though it may be under $10,000.
So for Next Generation Housing, that is Supervisor Krebs. He's the chairman of that committee.
Yes, Supervisor Krebs is the chair.
And he is also for
the SRC.
Okay.
Yep, he's on both of those.
Any comments, concerns? No?
You guys are looking at me. The only concern I have is you get take it away from the board, you know, but it is a small amount. Something we can do as a trial period, like do it for a year, see how it works and revisit it.
Absolutely. And the reason being is that I was trying to prevent the number of special meetings because we're trying, yeah, exactly. I'm trying to prevent that from happening too often. Because unfortunately we are trying to move these projects through the process quickly. And sometimes we don't want a month delay depending on when the meetings are called, the SRC meetings are called especially, so.
Yeah, well, with today, we would have had to show up for Hartford anyway, because it was over 10,000, correct? Is there any way, anybody, that we could put a window on this and say from a year from today or a year from official approval, we can revisit
This is
this?
policy, so
Okay.
any policy can be changed if we find that it's, failing us, right?
Right,
So,
so it's something we could review, whether we approve it or not, we could always bring it back up for review, is what you're
You
saying?
can put it on a calendar
calendar,
tickler file and put it back on the executive agenda. I will say it's exactly why I asked for the caveat that if the committee member, who happens to be Brian right now, but if the committee member objects, it has to come, automatically has to come back to committee. Because I wanted to make it clear, and Deb and I talked about this, and Chair and I talked about this. I wanted to make it clear that this is the county's money, not municipality's money. So we don't want them voting to approve to spend county money within reason. I mean, some of this stuff is just automatic, like it's not even worth convening a meeting over, but.
Yeah, because typically the phase one in West Bend is the clear example. So it was not the Hartford meeting that caused the special meeting today for executive committee. It was actually the West Bend proposal, and that was for $5,000 for phase one. And it's very routine, so.
No, I'm okay with it as long as we can like review it in a year and say, hey, this is going great, let's continue.
Yep.
Can I ask one other question? I probably should have asked this earlier. When these things are approved, then are you planning on each agenda through consent to just notify executive committee, hey, this got spent? If it's under the threshold?
If it's under, then I will automatically put it on just the consent agenda. It'll just be a list of what's been approved.
So you'll see.
So we'll see,
anyway.
we can track it, perfect.
Mhm.
and those grants come to the county, so that is the county's money to spend.
Right.
And some of that, well, this year we didn't get the grant, but we matched some of that too with county money, so it's truly county money. All right, any other comments?
No, I'm good with that.
All
Thank you.
right, our next meeting date is July 20th, 2022 at 4 p.m. This meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.